Amazing.
It's something. I gotta get a haircut again.
That's good.
I have one scheduled for tomorrow.
There you go. I
Yeah,
got one a week and a half ago, and I'm having one next week. Every 3 weeks
it's
now.
like a weed.
All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 32 of the Fantasy Timeline, a proud member of the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network. Bill, how you doing, my man?
Good. Excited for tonight. Ready to talk some football for the last week of me being the age I am.
Oh man, somebody's going to be a little bit wiser, huh?
Yeah. Definitely older. I don't know if I'm wiser.
See, I wasn't going to use the O word. I was
Nah, I'm cool with that.
gonna say wiser, just wiser. So doing good, feeling good for the last week in your young body.
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. You?
That's awesome, brother. All right, so if you're watching us on YouTube or on Periscope, you see a very attractive man with
Hey,
very very
Hey, you're
attractive
going back to
hair,
Bill.
and I'm not talking about Bill this time.
Right.
We have Justin from the Father Son Fantasy Football Podcast. How are you doing, Justin?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm happy you guys invited me on. I don't really do that many guest appearances on pods. I'm starting to get more into that this year. So thank you guys for inviting me. I'm doing good. I'm ready to do the show with you guys.
Nah, man,
Yeah.
and feels even a little bit better since you say you don't do too many because your podcast is just it's the hotness. I'm just gonna say it's an awesome podcast. You and your dad are just you guys are hilarious. Going back and forth, but you guys know what you're talking about too, which is just as important. So glad we could get you on,
Thank you.
and we're gonna get into this thing. So, a little bit of news that broke over the weekend. ESPN's Mike Reese reported that Sony Michel underwent foot surgery back in May. Seemed, according to them, that it was a general maintenance type thing to relieve some discomfort. So, Bill, we'll start with you. What do you think about Sony? Does it affect your outlook on him at all?
Nope. I think it's just like a scope. So I think it's pretty much something that guys sometimes even get during the season, and they might only be out for like a week or two. So I can't imagine it being anything that concerns me for something that's going to happen in months. So, I mean, I don't know how good he's going to be regardless, but I mean, he doesn't concern me like long term or any effect in 2020. Aside from the fact that he's already had a shitty knee for the last 5 years or whatever.
What about you, Justin? Any change on how you feel about Sony?
I mean, Sony Michel. I'm not a big fan of Sony Michel. I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm not gonna not draft Patriots players, but I'm more of interested in Damian Harris. Spending a third-round pick on him last year, the Patriots, and didn't really play much his rookie season, which means something. But he's got the size, 5'10", 216, decent burst, and is productive, more productive than Josh Jacobs at college. So I think he's a nice little sneaky, not even buy low because the price has kind of risen on Damian Harris in Dynasty, but I still pay that up and just try to get rid of Sony Michel. I mean, I'm not a fan of him. I don't have him anywhere. I got rid of him earlier this offseason. Need to replace it. Yeah. So I went to the Patriots playoff game against the Titans, and we were sitting next to this kid who was a Patriots fan. He was just screaming every time Sonny Michel got the ball. He was like, "Sonny Michael sucks." Like this guy was calling him Sonny Mike, and he was a Patriots fan. He was like, "Sonny Michael, you suck. Get off the field." We had other fans yelling. I'm like, "Hey, that's your team. Support your team." He's like, "I don't care. He sucks." I was like, okay, this kid needs to Sonny Michael, baby. That's so. Whenever I hear Sonny Michel, I just think Sonny Michael.
Sony Michael. So you brought up buy low for Damian Harris, and I think if you have some kind of faith in Sony Michel or Sony Michael, depending on how you pronounce it, this might actually be a nice little buy low window. Just for the fact that it seems that every offseason Sony Michel is having some kind of procedure done. If the Sony Michel owner in your league is over it, he doesn't want to deal with literally reading this every offseason. Hit them up. Say, hey, what would you take for Sony? And it might be a spot where you have someone who's frustrated not only with all of the surgeries and the cleanups, but a a relatively meh year last year. And our man JB, the Bauer Club, hated him previously, but James White with the heart eye emojis. If we're looking at Jarrett Stidham and maybe just throwing some quick passes to the running back and trying to get yards that way and not holding it too long and trying to bomb it, James White could get back to that top 10, top 15 running back that we've seen just as recently as a couple years ago. So that's something that I think people should look at if you need a RB2, RB3, and maybe you can get one on the cheap. Shoot the Sony owner in your league a message there and see if you can get them. So a couple other minor things happen. We don't really need to talk about it because not really super important. But we're going to get into something that is super important, and that is SFBX, the tournament of tournaments. Bill and I are in it. Justin, are you in?
My dad and I each got our own invite yesterday, so
Wow.
I was very excited. I was disappointed for waiting so long, but I understand Scotfish got to do Scotfish things, so we did get our own teams. I get to show people who the better half of the Father-Son podcast is, in case it wasn't already known.
Are you guys going to get in the same division?
No, he wants to, and I get why he wants to. Like, oh, ho, ha, ha, I'm taking all your guys. But I'm like, dude, at the same time, we got to get our name out there more. If we're doing this to each other,
absolutely,
it's going to butt heads. Like, yeah, it'll be funny, like, because he's going to take Miles Sanders on me and whatnot. But, I mean, like, I was like, dude, we got to grow. So I'm not telling him what division I request. I'm not telling anyone what division I requested.
Okay.
It's just keeping it low-key.
Yeah, that's what Bill and I said. It's going to be fun when we meet in the finals. We'll see who the better man is after 1,438 people fall by the wayside, and it's just me and Bill in the finals fighting it out. We'll see who the better man is. But SFBX, it's awesome, man. And not only is it cool because there are guys like me and Bill, but you do get Justin. You get guys who are doing serious podcasts, who are doing real things. And you go higher and higher. You got your Matthew Berrys, your Sigmund Blooms, the guys from the fantasy football, or everybody who's anybody in this industry is in it or trying to get into it. So it's really cool. It's for a really good cause for Fantasy Cares. They all the donations, all the money they make is going to Toys for Tots. SFB Podathon is going to be right around the corner in a couple of weeks. Salito does great things with that. Has everybody on in a 24-hour span. It's kind of amazing, all the work they put into it. The John Bosch Eliminators are on and popping. Bill and I are in ours right now. We're actually on the clock. Bill and I we went back and forth a little bit during the before this went on, and we'll go back and forth a little bit more after this is all over. But, when we win our eliminator, we're going to donate the $50 that we win back to Fantasy Cares.
There you go.
So, but it'll be fun to interact with 16 people who listen to the podcast, who wanted to be a part of it. That's one of the coolest things about it, is that back and forth. The DM Twitter thread that we've had has been lit. They were going back and forth today. I was trying to work, and it seemed like every minute somebody was like, "Hey, what about this? Hey, what?" I was like, "Oh man,
I swear to God, man, right now my DMs are just crazy. Between, Scott Fishbowl, my slot is 103, so we just started that chat where all the people in 103 are joining our chat. So if anybody listening has the third slot, hit me up and I'll add you to the chat. But that's been blowing up the whole time. Probably the last hour and a half, it's just been going crazy. And then our chat's going crazy. There's a chat for other eliminators I'm in. They're just going crazy. I mean, it's just nuts. It's like, it's almost like Christmas time. You know what I mean? There's just so much happening. And Sorry for interrupting you, but
No.
it's crazy.
It's honestly like going to your favorite bar and it's just all of your friends that are there. I mean, and that's what this tournament does. It brings not only people that know each other and are friendly with each other, but it introduces you to a whole new group of people that you may have never met before, may have never talked to before. And I've met so many new people just getting an invite. I don't have a division yet, just because apparently I picked one that I thought wouldn't be as popular, and it ended up being very popular. So I may or may not even be in that division, but yeah, it's really cool. And if you want to donate to Fantasy Cares, do that. Scott is also kind of pushing people this year to donate to charities that mean something to them. So even if it's not Fantasy Cares and it's something else that is meaningful to you, do that. I mean, it's amazing. Not only all the work Scott does, but just kind of all the good he seems to distribute through this tournament. So yeah, do that. If you haven't signed up yet, I usually check before the podcast. I didn't check this week. You still might have a chance to sign up. I think 95%. That's amazing. 95% of the invites have been sent out, but who knows? Maybe a late sign up will get you in. So go to scottfishbowl.com. If you are, I don't even know if there's still eliminators left, but I guess
Nope.
you could. No more eliminators. So don't do that then, because you'll be looking at a website that doesn't have anything on it. So now that we talked about SFBX, let's talk about what we saw on the timeline. So our first question, we don't do redraft that often. We stick a lot to Dynasty, but now we're starting to get into redraft season, and in a couple months we're going to start getting into or we're getting into keeper season. In a few months we're going to be getting into redraft season. So here's one from Jay Sut at DFF Jay Sut. Redraft keeper question. Which wide receiver would you rather have in redraft? Godwin as a second round keeper or DJ Moore as an 11th round keeper? Justin, why don't you hit this one up first?
Love both these guys. Very close to me. They're like brothers to me, Chris Godwin and DJ Moore. It's you can't go wrong with either of them except for 11th round DJ Moore. That's what I'm hitting all day, every single day. DJ Moore last year, 9 targets a game. Expect that to even go up now because you got the NFC South, Teddy Bridgewater, accurate passer. DJ Moore, best yak receiver in the league in my opinion. And negative game script. It's the NFC South, baby. You got to compete with Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, and now Tom Brady. That's going to be shootouts. And combine that with a defense that has all new players, with like 7 rookies, you're going to be negative game script for days. And you can make the same argument here for Chris Godwin, except for the second round price is what's the differential. Like, he's going to be going in the second round in most drafts anyway this year. But if you get to take DJ Moore, who's going in the 3rd round right now for redraft, in the 11th round, I'm doing that every single day.
What about you, Bill?
I'm not answering this question. This question's so obvious that you must have a follow-up question to give us.
No, you're going to answer the question, Bill. Who are you thinking? We don't play these games on the timeline. You're going to answer the question.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious it's DJ Moore in the 11th. I think everybody, I think about probably 8 out of every 9 people would think that. And so, yeah, I'm one of those 8 people.
Well, actually, according to the percentages on this, it's almost 9 out of every 10 people went with DJ Moore in the 11th. And I was actually a little hesitant on this until Justin came with the stats, and then it was obvious that it was DJ Moore in the 11th. But honestly, all joking aside, this is where we have to, in redraft leagues, we have to watch out about big names and names that blew up the previous year. DJ Moore was injured a little bit last year, and he's a big name in the dynasty community, but we have to remember sometimes that in the redraft and keeper community, things kind of go dormant after the Super Bowl. February happens, then you kind of aren't thinking about fantasy until June, July, sometimes even August. So just kind of as redraft and keeper players, if you don't play Dynasty, kind of refresh yourself on everything that's going on before you pick your keepers, because Chris Godwin blew up last year, was amazing. Now has Tom Brady instead of non-LASIK Jameis Winston. And you kind of go, it's Chris Godwin. Forgetting about all the things that DJ Moore did during the entire season last year. And that's the reason why I brought up the question. It seems obvious to us because we are looking at all this stuff year round. We don't stop, but we also have to remember that redraft and keeper players sometimes are shutting it down around February and aren't ramping it up till June, July, or August. So
sure. And I mean, if you're looking at just look at it this way. If you pull up any ADP, you're going to see those two wide receivers reasonably close to each other. And I mean, to be honest, you could probably get Godwin in the second round again. So there's really no point in even using him as a keeper, even if that was your best choice. You know what I mean? Because you could. So just talking a little bit of theory or strategy, if you feel just because he's a great player doesn't necessarily mean that's a value, and you could always get somebody that's very similar with that pick that you would be losing otherwise. So you may as well save whoever the best value is on your roster, not necessarily the best player.
Agreed. And Bill knows me well. Bill knows I won't put an obvious question on the show sheet unless I have a follow-up question or a follow-up thought to go along with it. But doesn't mean you get out of answering questions, Bill. It's not how we work.
Making me do my – yeah.
So this next one we saw is from Jacob Vines at jsnake_DFF. Who do you want in a Superflex tiered PPR 12-team Dynasty League? Alexander Madison or Darius Geis? Justin, why don't you start us off? Which one do you like more?
It's tough now because of the whole Dalvin Cook holdout situation, but still Geis for me. It's got to be Darius Geis. I mean, the prospect profile of him coming out of LSU, he's comparable to Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, you can't really get much better, you can get much better than that, but, it's upper tier right there. And he's healthy. You can go watch videos. I mean, whenever people see videos of NFL players training, they go crazy. I don't know what it is. You're an NFL athlete. Of course, you're going to be doing these kind of things, but you post a video, your stock goes up a lot. And Darius Geis is doing some movement ones. I mean, that knee's it's not great, but if he's healthy, he's going to get the opportunity there. And Madison, he's good, but I don't think Dalvin Cook, he doesn't have much leverage. He has leverage, but I don't think he's going to miss games. Like the new CBA, it's a little tougher. I guess people are like, oh, you can go to training camp, but nothing's preventing him from holding out. However, I don't think he's going to hold out. The market's kind of been set. He's already asking for not even top 5 money, so they're going to get a deal done, I'm confident, before the season starts. And Madison, a capable backup, obviously, because Dalvin Cook does get injured. Darius Geis also gets injured, but I'm taking Darius Geis.
And you were right when you said you, as a Dallas Cowboys fan, you can't get much better than Zeke because besides maybe Christian McCaffrey, you can't get much better than Zeke. But I'm going the other way on this, and this isn't a talent thing. This is I don't think Darius Geis can stay on the field thing. I mean, we've seen it 2 years in a row now. I mean, people say I don't like to say the word injury prone, but he seems to be injury prone. I mean, it's knee injuries. It's kind of the same, in the same areas, and that worries me, especially for a running back. Obviously, Washington felt like they needed to draft Antonio Gibson to kind of come in there and either help out. I don't think take over, but I think alleviate some of the stress from Geis. AP is still there, and yes, he's 476 years old, but I mean, he's been productive while in Washington, so we can't just kind of say he's old and washed because he's kind of proven that he is old, but he can still do some things on the field. And obviously, if Geis is 100%, those two guys don't matter. They're not relevant in Washington's game plan. But I mean, I just don't trust the guy to stay healthy. I mean, I hope he does, and I hope he blows up this year. You know, he won't be on any of my teams, and I will be the first person to say I was wrong about his health. But this is a health thing for me, not a talent thing. And we can kind of say, Madison did get hurt. What was that, week 14, week 15 last year? So he's kind of shown that maybe he can't hold up for a full 16 game season, but I'd rather have 10 games of Madison than 3 games of Geis. So I'll take Madison here. What about you, Bill?
All right, so Madison, to me, my concern with Madison is that, let's say Dalvin holds out for long term. Madison, they kind of show that he's not going to get the same percent of touches that Dalvin does. So him and Boone are going to be sharing the load a lot more than Dalvin and Madison share. You know what I mean? So like, I think you're going to see a lot closer to probably 55-45, something like that, if Dalvin's out. Whereas when Dalvin's playing, it's like 70-30. So I think the upside's not there, but I think a lot of people are thinking it is. I agree with you. The Geis injury concerns are there, but at the same time, he's in the same situation that Dalvin was last year when he had 2 years of injuries, and the second year was kind of compensatory injuries, that sort of thing, where he's just kind of playing scared a little bit, and he's compensating, and he pulls some muscles. I know he did something with his MCL or something, but so I think I'm going Geis just for the upside there, and I'm gonna know, like, if he's healthy. I mean, he's shown that he can contribute, and he's shown that he's the one, whereas Madison needs something to happen for him to be a high contributor. I'd rather go Geis here and then get a guy like Pollard or something like that I consider to be in a very similar situation as Madison, but his price isn't as high.
Yeah, and you guys are on the winning side of this. It's about 54-46, so close, but Geis seems to win out in this situation. And go ahead.
The reason I actually included this one on the show sheet was because a guy in one of my leagues did the outhouse special where he Dustin, one of our guests last week, where he said, make me an offer and I'll make the trade if Twitter thinks your side's better. And I made an offer with Madison and Tyler Johnson for Boyd, or for Geis.
Okay.
And I thought they had a chance because I had seen this one, which was really close. Like so I was like, oh, maybe that'll go. And then, it's funny how polls work, because literally, like, it had a worse response, like a lower percentage for the Madison Tyler Johnson side as opposed to the one we're looking at, which I think was like 55% or 55-45 or something like that. But it's just interesting like that, because I don't think there's a right answer. It's just a matter of, I think, risk tolerance. Right. And you'd rather have the guy that is going to contribute throughout the season, where I'd rather a guy that's going to give me upside if he is playing. And I think that, that it's not a right or wrong. It's just, and I always fall back to this. It's just your risk tolerance for certain players and what you're looking for out of your players. I mean, if I need a starter or I need a guy that's going to contribute every week, I mean, of course, then I'm going to lean towards Madison, because I know he's going to be in there. But if I want a guy that could potentially hit, because the way I usually play is my second running back, I have no idea who I'm going to use, because I only spend on one good one and then hope somebody else hits. Geis is the exact type of guy that I want on my roster, because if he hits, I all of a sudden have 2 really good running backs. And, it's just a matter of how you play the game.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm actually a little surprised, considering this was last week. It seemed like the Madison hype was at its highest because everyone heard the news about Dalvin holding out and wanting more money. And just on Twitter, I saw a lot of people panic buying Madison, panic selling Cook. And so, yeah, I'm actually surprised that the trade that you offered wasn't a little bit more even on a Twitter poll, but Twitter's a funny place.
Yeah, it's just a matter of who you reach, and people that are awake at that moment. And
Yep.
yeah, I actually saw Madison go for some first rounders, like 112.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh my God, like. But there's years where I was stunned. Like a few years ago, I was stunned when what people were paying for Kareem Hunt in the preseason of his rookie year.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? And that paid off incredibly.
Yep.
I'm not rolling the dice in early June on a guy that might about holding out, but if that price is there in late August, that might be somebody I'd consider picking up. It's very similar to Connor with the Lev Bell holdout. It's just right now is not the time to be making that move, in my opinion.
I agree with you 100%. So we're going to move on to the next one, and we got this from some guy, I never heard of him, Justin, aka Pomp, at Justin_FFB. Guys, I'm taking a leap of faith on this year. Calvin Ridley going as wide receiver 15, Marvin Jones going as wide receiver 41, and N'Keal Harry going as wide receiver 63, Allen Robinson going as wide receiver 13, DJ Moore going as wide receiver 16. We got a couple running backs here too. Cam Akers and DeAndre Swift going as RB 28 and 29. First of all, Justin, I want to thank you for uttering the good name of Marvin Jones.
These are redraft or are those dynasty?
Redraft.
Okay, so just so we're clear on those, yeah.
I honestly don't really care if this is redraft or dynasty.
Hey, they works for both.
Because Marvin Jones gets disrespected in any format that you can think of. I don't understand why. Bill, you're a Lions fan. You watch all the games. You see this dude ball out. I don't get why people don't like him. I don't know if he cursed at someone one time. I don't know. I have no idea. I feel the same way about Allen Robinson, someone else who, has literally had me and Bill throwing him balls in the NFL for his entire career. And when he's healthy, all he does is put up top 15 seasons. The list includes Blake Bortles. That guy don't got a job. Mitch Trubisky. That man might not have a job come week one. There was even a couple game of Chase Daniel.
Lions back up now. What?
What? Like, what are we talking about? And this guy just puts up stats and nobody likes him. So, Justin, I appreciate you bringing out some of these names. And just, what about some of these guys has you excited and has you wanting to go out there and grab them up?
Yeah, so I'll start with Marvin Jones. I'll piggyback off it. No respect. Just come on, people. Put some respect on the guy's name. He can give you those winning weeks. You come 4 touchdowns out of nowhere. You can literally just win you a weekend. He's a good guy to throw in your flex. You're not going to have to start him with your wide receiver 2 or 3 probably. Allen Robinson, you mentioned it all. You got Blake Bortles, Christian. No quarterback playing a water boy and Mitch Trubisky, and now he gets Nick Foles, hopefully. And that's just going to be a big boost. One of the best separators who wasn't even known for separating coming out of college. And now he's, big-bodied, contested catch master, gets down the field. N'Keal Harry, a guy I'm planting my flag on. I'm trying to get him in every dynasty league I can. It's kind of tough, though, because it's not a startup. People did pay a high price last year. They don't want to let go of him necessarily. But I'm going to make him let go. I'm going to give him an offer they can't refuse unless I'm in a league with a friend of mine, Jeremy Schwab from Dynasty Self-Help. He's a big N'Keal Harry and Allen Robinson guy. Helps that N'Keal Harry's best comparable player is Allen Robinson, so you kind of see the mold of players that I like. Big body, big BMI, 90th percentile speed score. and production as a true freshman in college, came out early in year 3, and a first-round draft pick, hits all those check marks you want to see in a prospect. And then redraft this year, Stidham's going to have to throw the ball to someone, and they only have Edelman really returning. So I'm all in on N'Keal Harry. He's going to have volume. Calvin Ridley's getting a lot of hype on Twitter now, and I may be out on him on redraft because it's gone up since I tweeted that out. I mean, he's in another pass-happy offense in the NFC South. Like, those are the two things you kind of want for a wide receiver. That's why I also have DJ Moore, who I talked about earlier, and he was the wide receiver 16 last year, missing a game. If you give him 9 targets like he's been getting, he would possibly been top 12 wide receiver. I think he missed it by like 12 points. So DJ Moore is so underrated right now, and I like going running back right now in redraft. It's kind of what most people are leaning towards chalk. If I get one of those top 4 picks, DJ Moore sitting there early 3rd round for my wide receiver 1. I can pair him up with Barkley and Aaron Jones or whatever it's going to drop to me in the 2nd round. So all in on DJ Moore at that price. And then the running backs I mentioned, DeAndre Swift and Cam Akers. You see it year over year. Rookie running backs help people win championships. Cam Akers, I'm talking about on an episode that drops, well, probably today, depending on when it comes out, with Mike Wright. We had from the FF Ballers come on. And I mentioned Cam Akers. He's going to have opportunity right away. So unlike these rookie running backs like Nick Chubb you saw in the past, or even Miles Sanders last year, where you have to wait till 8 weeks into the season for him to actually do something, Cam Akers has a very good shot at getting opportunity week 1 out of the gates. And, you know, people can knock the Rams offensive line for all they want. They were still top 20 last year. People are saying bottom 5. If you want to go see some Cam Akers love, go over to Debro_FFB on Twitter, biggest Cam Akers guy I know. And then DeAndre Swift, best comparable player, is Miles Sanders. And people follow me on Twitter, you know my Miles Sanders love runs deep. So if I like Miles Sanders, I gotta like DeAndre Swift, who's arguably a better prospect than Miles Sanders himself. And Kerryon Johnson's not the best running back, unfortunately. I'm a fan of him. Sorry, Bill. But DeAndre Swift's in town, baby, and that's an underrated landing spot, I think. So we're going to hopefully Matt Patricia knows how to give this guy the ball. And, yeah, that's basically the gist of the players I'm kind of planting my flag on.
So Justin obviously sucking up to Bill a little bit with Marvin Jones and DeAndre Swift on the list. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you saw Bill walk away for a second, probably to scream at his wall for the fact that Marvin Jones gets no damn love. He needed to get it out for a second and then come back. Listen, I understand. I mean, Marvin, if you're listening, I will be your hype man, okay? I will tell people why they are stupid and foolish for not taking you wide receiver 41. Bill, I think you're wide receiver 42, dude. Like, what's going on? Wide receiver. I'm sorry. I can't.
It's because I'm good at the post up. That's the only play I have. So
I got 3 kids sleeping, and if I start talking about Marvin Jones, I'm gonna start yelling. Kids are gonna wake up. It's not gonna be good. So Bill, what are your thoughts about this? Who do you like? Who do you don't like? Let us know.
So, like, in the list, I mean, I think Marvin's the obvious one. Like, I think actually when I was on your show, Justin, that was like one of my buys, him and Golden Tate, because they're just perennially, you know, just undervalued. And like, if you look at the splits for targets when Marvin's playing and when he's not for Galladay, it's insane. And actually, he gets more targets than Galladay when he's out there. And typically, and I don't want to say this all the time, but when you hear that there's a shutdown corner, they're putting it on Marvin Jones. They're not putting him on Galladay. And so there's something to be said for that. And maybe it's just the role that Marvin Jones plays but there's some, I mean, they're not going to put him on there if they don't respect him, you know? Yeah. So getting off of that, because that's, I think, the obvious one out of all of these. What interests me is the Allen Robinson, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley. They're all very similar. They're kind of in that same little bunch. I also agree with N'Keal Harry. I think that he's a pretty obvious buy. It's just crazy how low people just forget about him. And I mean, somebody's got him. Edelman's still a great buy probably there, but aside from him,
they'll learn soon. Don't worry, Bill. They'll learn soon once N'Keal Harry's putting up these numbers. I'm telling you, they'll learn.
So, question for you, Justin. Of those 3 that are bunched together, you can only have one. Which one are you taking?
So Calvin Ridley's not going to be the one I'm taking. So it's going to be down between Allen Robinson and DJ Moore. That one I'm gonna have to cry over. I'm gonna be sitting in my draft. I'm gonna have one pick. I'm like, I don't know what you. I'm gonna go with DJ Moore. DJ Moore, I'm taking over Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson, I think he does have the upside to be a top 5 wide receiver this year in fantasy. I believe that. And I also believe DJ Moore can be up there too and offer you more of those high ceiling weeks than Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson really he'll post solid floor numbers and get you a couple 20+ point games, but you're not going to really see a 30-point game coming from Allen Robinson's stat line, which is not a problem at all. I'll be happy with his 25-point games and whatnot. But DJ Moore has the ability to light it up for weeks. And in the NFC South, that gives him the little slight edge. And I mean, they both have easy schedules too. It's a win-win. I mean, you can't go wrong with either one. So pick your poison. I'll go with the guy that has a shorter first name, DJ Moore.
Do you worry that he's going into a new offense? Does that concern you at all?
It's wheels up, baby. I mean, no, not really for me because his play style is around the line of scrimmage. You're not going to see him really go. He can go downfield and he can be that contested catch guy. Well, I mean, his profile is bulletproof. It's so good. I mentioned the breakout age, it's just amazing. People coming into the draft, they were saying DJ Moore should switch to running back. I remember that was a thing, and I was like, well, I mean, yeah, he can be running back, he can do it all, but sheesh, I don't know. Something about Maryland wide receivers, big Stephon Diggs fan, and now I'm sitting here with DJ Moore, and I'm trying to get him in most of my redraft leagues as well, but not a bad pick between him or Allen Robinson.
Yeah, I agree. And for the running backs, I think of the two, I think Kerryon is good enough to be a complimentary back, and I feel like he is somebody I trust more if he's healthy than Darrell Henderson.
Yep.
So I think if I'm going to pick one of the two running backs, Akers is my guy for the redraft. I think if Dynasty for sure, it's Swift for me, but I'm just not sure what's going to happen with Henderson. I did look at Mike Clay's projections today, and he actually has Henderson as the top scorer for running backs for the Rams this year, which surprised me. I mean, they're very close to each other between him and Swift, but he's just getting a little bit more of the receiving work, and that's what kind of bumped him ahead of Akers. But those are the kind of guys that you have to take that you think could steal the show. And if you don't trust Darrell or Darrell, I'm not sure which way it is. If you don't trust him, I mean, that's a great pick in redraft because that's the kind of guy that can blow up. That's not getting, people aren't taking into account the potential. And especially with rookies, when you're in redraft, there's a lot of people or keeper leagues, people aren't aware of the rookies like we are in Dynasty and that sort of thing. So those are the kind of places that you can really, abuse a little bit, that get both of them because one of them's going to hit. That's my thought. And I like this list. It's looking at
Twitter
that.
Did
I
not
don't look
like
at
it as much as you.
I don't. What's that?
Twitter did not like it as much as you do right now. I got one like.
Yeah,
on it,
but I
it's
mean,
okay.
the only people that are going to respond to you are the people that disagree, right? I mean, that's just how it works. And
I gotta make some outlandish take.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of this is outlandish. And I mean, I don't look at redraft because I play in one redraft a year, with the exception of like Scott Fish Bowl and eliminators and that sort of thing. So it's surprising me looking at this ADP for these guys. It's just, how are some of these guys that low? It's just insane to me. But, I like it. I think that's a good list. And people listen to Justin. He's a smart guy.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll shout out my dad real quick. Big Marvin Jones fan, bigger than me. So my dad's been on a Marvin Jones hype train before we even do it a bit like a podcast. He's always getting Marvin Jones. So he also agrees, which is rare for us to agree. So
how's Paul doing?
He's doing good. He has golf league tonight, so he's upstairs probably eating dinner or something right now.
Nice.
I don't know. He installed a nice little, one of those Ring doorbell things. He installed like one of the driveway motion sensors now, and all he does is just check it all the time and make the alarm noises and stuff. I'm like, dude, you need help. That's what he's up to now.
I bought my buddy one of those, and his wife is so pissed because he's at work or whatever, and he gets the ding that they're leaving, like she's taking the daughters to work or to school or whatever, and he'll be like, see ya, and she's like, she feels like she can't even leave the house without him knowing when she leaves now.
Those things are something.
Yeah.
And Bill, since you're our booking agent, and we just found out that Dad is a bigger Marvin Jones fan than Justin. We need to put him on the list and get him on because
Hell yeah, we'll get Paul on here.
we need more pro Marvin Jones voices yelling at people until they realize the foolishness. So
we don't gotta let people know. Let people keep sleeping. Let us get the value of Marvin Jones at wide receiver for you. We'll keep it just between us.
There's just certain guys that it doesn't matter. Like there can be guys just yelling from the mountaintops, and it won't matter. And people have been yelling from the mountaintops for Thielen. And a lot of people don't like Thielen, and that's fine. But for the last 4 years, people are yelling from the mountaintops, and people still aren't listening. His values. He's 30 now or whatever, but there's just guys that it doesn't matter, and you're always going to get cheap points from those guys, and it's just a beautiful thing that's the case,
And Bill's 100% right, because anyone who has ever talked to me and Marvin Jones has come up has known that not only is he criminally disrespected, but I love him, and I pull that dude in just about every draft that I'm in without fail. Bill and I are in Superflex Army 2 together. Marvin Jones is on that team. And actually our boy Rocky tried a couple weeks after that draft to trade me JJ Arcega-Whiteside for Marvin Jones. And I was like, you get the hell out of here with that trash.
What do you think, Justin? What do you think about him, Justin?
I'm not a fan. Not a fan, dude. I don't understand that at all.
Oh, I just got him for $1, and actually somebody outbid me. So somebody got him for $2 in an auction startup.
Really? But I just did an auction startup. Those things are crazy. I never did an auction before. It's fun.
Did you do Safe Leagues one?
I did a Safe Leagues one.
Yeah, that's crazy because there's 60 guys going at one time. That's not a normal auction, just so you know.
Oh, all right. Well,
yeah, normal auctions, you can nominate 2 players, not 5. So they do that because they want it to take 5 days or 6 days. They don't want it to go for 3 weeks, which sometimes those auctions can go.
Maybe we'll get Justin in our.
You want to get in one? Bauer and Mitch want to get in one. We'll just do a low
I don't like those
one.
Guys at all. Those guys, they are. No, I'm not doing any more.
Speaking of that, this was Bauer's comment earlier.
I saw that.
Need to replace the guest.
If I'm in a league with him, I was actually the auction league I did. I was with Mitch because Mitch invited me to it, and he's like, I don't want to have a lot of people in here to steal our guys, and I would refuse to leave that league without Miles Sanders. I ended up paying more for Miles Sanders than what Alvin Kamara and Joe Mixon were one for.
What did you pay?
$149 out of $1,000 budget. I also won Kamara for $140, and I won Mixon for $135. But I was going to pay $200 for Miles Sanders. I didn't care.
I paid $200 for Barkley in one.
That's really good.
Yeah,
Oof, I'd be very happy with that.
Yeah. I paid $140 or $157 for Zeke. It's my first share of Zeke ever.
How's it feel?
It's cool. Hey, I think he's gonna have a really good season, so I don't hate it, and I'm okay spending that for a guy that I know is going to be a top 5 running back if he's healthy. So, and I think very easily top 3 running back. So I'm cool with that. And Josh is just getting all giddy and tingly right now.
You've said a lot of correct things. The one mistake you made, you said if he stays healthy, dude never gets injured. So I'm just saying. It's actually funny. You picked up your first share of Zeke, and I traded away my first share of Zeke. So we've had a diverging paths in this offseason. But hey, that's what makes it fun.
We're like the yin and yang.
Yeah, that's and actually, inviting Justin, and then I'm realizing, God, this is going to be my first auction, and there's going to be everyone's smarter than me anyway, but I'm inviting people who are way too smart for me to be first timing it with. So I might end up paying, $350 for
that doesn't matter. That's how you learn.
Andrews or something like that,
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
So Justin, though, just since I want to destroy this pot and just make it about us, I mean you too, Josh. I'm just saying, the listeners probably don't give a shit. So the ones that we're doing right now, next year is a rookie draft. It's not an auction.
Okay, that's how.
So in safe leagues. So the one we're gonna start is gonna be all auction.
Oh.
So, like, the rookies will be auctioned.
Sheesh. See, I'm impulsive, so I feel like this is a bad idea. I don't know.
I think it's a great idea. We'll make it a low dollar one, just so we can do
Yeah.
it. So
Might have
I think
to.
that's what we're going to
Definitely
do. We'll
keep
just
me
get a
up.
bunch of the guys and do that. But I'm sorry, Josh, for hijacking this show.
You mean the show you're a co-host on? I think it's okay, man. I think you're good. You're allowed to hijack here and there, but don't make it a regular thing. All right, Bill?
I won't.
All right. All right. So we asked Justin to pick out a couple of tweets and some things that he saw out there. So we're gonna go with it. And Justin doesn't like me because this Twitter handle has a few numbers in it. So I'm gonna go for the gold here.
Yeah, I mean, I did not see that when I saw that. We'll just say.
I was going to add some extra ones.
You should have added a
You
couple
should've.
more. I'm just looking at it now. Holy crap, dude.
So this is
almost like a bot number. It's like
Yeah.
This is a
bot
fake. This is
handles,
someone's burner account. I'm like,
They spelled Julio with an H. So this is from Thomas O'Brien at Thomas O 544-735-16. Maybe that's his phone number. Let's call him up. Who would you rather have in a 12-team PPR dynasty? Hopkins and Julio, or Barkley and Denzel Mims? So, Bill, since this is Justin's tweet, why don't you go first, man?
Yeah, this is really interesting because, sometimes people will just go, it just depends if you're a contender or not. Well, I don't know. This is really interesting. I think I'm going Hopkins Julio here. It's just, that's two amazing players and two of the guys that I want to be able to start, that I feel that are two of those 8 elite wide receivers that are going to outscore that next tier. And if you can get a couple of those guys, I think that's huge. And running backs, just a little worry, Saquon. If he gets hurt, he's going to get hobbled a little bit, that sort of thing. I want those points, and I like having the advantage of having two of those elite wide receivers. So I think that's the way I'm headed.
Bill, I agree with you, man. I think, Barkley, you kind of see Barkley on one side and it kind of makes you perk up and oh, this looks nice. It's Barkley. He's the guy. He's been the guy since the year before he was drafted. Every person who had a 101 was either drafting Barkley or selling it for ridiculous amounts of assets to trade him away. So you see Barkley and it as Bill said earlier, it makes you tingle a little bit. But Hopkins and Julio, whew.
And I love Mims, but you don't know what you're getting.
I loved Mims, and then I knew Adam Gase's dirty, filthy hands were going to be all over that man, and then I fell out of love with him. I hope for the best. He's super talented. Don't get me wrong. I just worry about the Adam Gase effect, and so far it's been proven out with pretty much everyone he's ever touched. So I hope Denzel Mims.
How does no one see that, by the way?
I think everyone sees it. The only people that don't see it are Jets fans.
Well, I think the Jets fans even see it now. I just think it's the Jets management that doesn't see it because, how can you – this is now a trend, right? It's not even, well, it was just Miami. Now this is the second place this is happening. And then didn't he just fire a coach or demote a coach because he had a problem with them? He obviously has some sort of attitude issue on top of being a not-so-good coach.
For sure. And there was an ESPN article that came out while he was in Miami where after a game, Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, wanted to speak to him. And he pretty much I'm going to clean up the language a little bit, says that he doesn't need to see him right now. And he'll talk to him when he's ready. And listen, first of all, I couldn't talk to my boss like that, but if my boss was a multi-billionaire and was paying me millions of dollars to do a job poorly, by the way, not even do the job well, do a job poorly, I think I would make time in my schedule for the guy to hear what he had to say. Adam Gase, you should have known from the press conference and his crazy eyes that something wasn't going to work out. Justin was trying to do them. They weren't crazy enough.
Yeah, I can't even go that crazy. That's called drugs.
Yeah. And talking about drugs, a coach under his watch in Miami had a nice little video come out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. So yeah, but we sidetracked on Adam Gase a little bit. I loved Mims. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, Hopkins and Julio. I mean, especially if you're contending. I mean, whew, those guys get put in, and you don't really take them out. So I would go that side of the deal. What about you, Justin?
This one's not really that close for me, to be honest with you. And it's the Barkley side, baby.
Of course it is, because it's the youth side.
I like my youth, but I'm taking this objectively. I'm looking back at it. Julio's great, another year or two. I think 2 years of good production more. He's got Hopkins changing teams, still in the prime of his career. You're gonna see Hopkins be Hopkins, one of the best wide receivers in the league. So you're getting two studs. However, it's not Saquon freaking Barkley, baby. Like, this dude, people are forgetting how good his rookie season was. And now you add in an improved offensive line. Second year, Daniel Jones. The people are healthy around him. Ingram, you got Shepard back healthy. Like, and Andrew Thomas is the biggest, I think, benefit. Like, it helps him so much with running. And running backs, you got those cornerstone pieces, and he's only 23 years old. Best running back prospect of all time. It's not even close. I mean, it's close, obviously, between Barry Sanders and all that. But like, he's just dynamic. And then you get Denzel Mims, who has the alpha size. He lit up the combine. He's gonna get targets year one. I know it's Adam Gase. I'm not happy about that. We just talked about Adam Gase and how he's the worst coach other than Bill O'Brien. They need to have like their own club or something like that. But you're either gonna have this year. You're gonna have a good Adam Gase, or Adam Gase is gone. So moving forward, Denzel Mims, he has the potential to be one of the best wide receivers in this class. This class is insane. I'm taking the running back side because running backs do help you win championships, especially when it's Saquon Barkley, who's levels above everyone except for McCaffrey, in my opinion.
So what we learned through this question is that Bill and I can actually agree on something, and then B, Justin's love of Saquon has clouded his good judgment that I usually come to rely on.
I get it.
I mean, he's right. When Saquon is healthy and Saquon is right, he is the guy. He is elite, and you don't question that. He can do everything on the field. He can run outside, inside. He can catch the ball. I mean. I mean, 2 years ago, he caught a touchdown pass from Odell Beckham. So, I mean, it just shows that you don't need a super accurate, super elite passer to get him the ball. Just get it in his zip code. He turns on the Jets. And, I mean, we've all seen it. We've all watched Saquon. I mean, that guy can go from 0 to 60, in about half a second and blow elite NFL athletes away. And just smoke them and leave them in the dust. So
yeah,
I get it.
So there's people in our eliminator tweeting us right now or DMing us about if we're gonna talk about our pick on air. So
you gotta.
I'm gonna tell them no, we're not going to.
Wow, Bill. Because see, I saw the same DMs, and I was gonna say, we can talk about it because at this point, there's not a damn thing they can do about it.
Nah, but I don't want them to hear our strategy.
Oh, listen.
You can't see the war room.
Listen.
Right.
This is our strategy. We're winning this thing. Everybody who's in the eliminator, we thank you. We're going to have fun throughout the entire season. We're still going to talk to you after you get eliminated from this thing. And week 17, we'll be there holding up the big check. We get one of those big checks, right? And
I'm going to make one.
We're going to make a big check. We're going to hold it up, take pictures with it. But the strategy is just win, baby. That's all it is. Like Al Davis, just win, baby. That's all we're going to do.
So we're going to take Zach Ertz just for everybody that know, I think that's where we're leaning at least.
Yeah. So if you if you're in
What
the
a shit
eliminator,
show. We're just talking about random stuff.
Hey, it's more
listen,
casual.
And it's all my fault. I'm sorry.
no, it's all good because I saw the same thing and I was going to bring it up. You just brought it up before I did, which is cool. We're probably going to take Zach Ertz. We have probably 2 of the 10 highest scorers in this format. We're cool with that. A lot of other people, they're trying. They're putting their picks out there. They're getting their teams together. But
I'm going to give our league mates a little tip here. So if they listen to us, they will maybe somebody learn something from this comment. But go up to the top. There's a where you can go to, I don't know, what's it called?
don't know, bro.
You go to reports,
Mhm.
then you go to player, then you go to top performers, and that will show you how people did with this scoring system. And then you will be able to see who the top performers were last year with this scoring system. And that may help you make some decisions for the draft.
Damn.
And
the cheat code.
you know what? They can have the cheat code because we just so damn good. The cheat code doesn't matter.
So we took Drew Brees in the first round of the Eliminator, and he was the third highest scorer in points per game in the whole league because of the points for completions.
Yeah.
And so pay attention to the scoring, folks. Pay attention.
Listen, the dude is accurate as hell, doesn't throw a ton of interceptions, and doesn't get sacked either, which are all huge in this scoring setup. Because, a sack will cost your quarterback a point. A incomplete pass will cost your quarterback a point, and interceptions are -4. So
Sheesh.
there are guys that have gone off the board already. I'm not going to name names. That there's going to be a lot of rough weeks for you. I'm just going to say that now. And hey, listen, better you than me. But and Stevie D. Listen, we're going to talk about this man, Steve D, for a minute. Saying he thinks Bill is the dominant personality of this group. I guess he said. He said, "I don't know if Bill's going to let Josh make any picks." Listen right now. Bill and I are a well-oiled machine. We are the hive mind. We think it, and it's there. We don't need to worry about who makes the pick. Just realize that the picks are all gold, Steve. They're all gold.
And Steve, just so you know, I told Josh because I wasn't included on the team or anything like that, on MFL, and I'm just like, Josh, you can just run the team, do what you got to do. So if you want to know who the dominant decision maker is here, it's probably not me because I was basically letting Josh do it if he wanted to. But now I'm apart, so now you got twice the. We now have about 2/3 of a brain total between the two of us.
And 90% of that is Bill. So, but I couldn't do this without Bill. Don't do the math, Bill. It's big numbers and it'll hurt. But so we sidetracked on our eliminator there just because we had people. Like I said, our DM for that is lit, and people are talking to us, during the pod. So I want to throw this last one out here real quick.
Show.
Oh yeah. This is from FF Dynasty Polls at FF Dynasty Polls.
FSFF.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I screwed that up. Which side do you take in Superflex? Another Hopkins one. You taking Hopkins or are you taking Sutton in the 2021 first? Bill, shoot this one. What do you got?
I'm taking the Sutton in the 21 first. Because I think he's an alpha and he's in his third season and he's shown that he can be the man. I don't think that anybody on the team is going to threaten him for being the alpha. I think that Judy is a high quality wide receiver too, and I think he's perfect in that role. And So I love Sutton, and I almost think Sutton is starting to lose value this offseason because of the rookie draft, and I'm not really sure why. And I mean, I get it, but that's all narrative based, and I just think he's the best player, best receiver on the team. So I'm taking him in the first because I could end up getting potentially two really good wide receivers out of that deal. And as much as I love Hopkins, and I think he is probably a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, I'm a little worried about this season just because he's not going to have timing. He's not going to have the opportunity to work out with Kyler as much as he needs to. And that concerns me a little bit. Any of the guys changing teams this year concern me a little bit, including Diggs, including, Nook. And so I like the Sutton and the first.
Yeah, I agree with you on this. Man, that Broncos offense has a shot to be legit. I mean, you're talking about Jerry Jeudy, you're talking about Cortland Sutton, you're talking about Hamler, you're talking Noah Fant, Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay. I mean, defenses are going to have a fit, and I think all of the offseason moves have actually helped Sutton because you can't tell me that last year defenses weren't keying in on him because it was Sutton and it was Philip Lindsay and Fant a little bit, but it was mostly Sutton. And now, I mean, defenses can roll towards him, but Jerry Jeudy will make you pay. Noah Fant has proven that he has the ability to make you pay. Melvin Gordon has the ability to make you pay, not only in the running game, but in the passing game as well. So, yeah, I think, defenses are going to have to try to pick their poison, and that's going to just help Sutton out. And then the 2021 first, I've been saying it for a few weeks now. There are people already starting to say 2021 is going to be almost as good as 2020, maybe just as good as 2020. We talk about guys who we thought would come out in 2020 who didn't, Travis Etienne, Chuba Hubbard, we have those guys. And now we're talking, then we talk quarterbacks. We have, Trevor Lawrence, we have Justin Fields. I mean, the list goes on. And it seems like right now, and there are going to be guys that we don't even think about right now that by the time our rookie drafts come in 2021 have blown up and have, kind of Joe Burrowed it, if you will. So yeah, give me that first. Give me that, give me Cortland Sutton. Honestly, if it was me, that first is probably getting moved in a trade at some point anyway for an established piece. So give that to me. Hopkins is good, but yeah, Bill nailed it. Kind of in the world we're living in right now, we don't know how much practice time these teams are going to get. He's new to Arizona. Kyler needs to get timing down with him. And, we have to remember too, he was kind of the main man in Houston just because Will Fuller was injured all the time, not because he wasn't good, but because he was injured. Now you have Christian Kirk. Larry Fitz can still do a couple things. One of the 96 wide receivers they drafted last year, could, take targets away. That running game with Kenyon Drake is probably going to be awesome again. A lot of mouths to feed. Yes, he won't, you can almost make the same argument I made for Cortland Sutton. The defenses shouldn't be keying in on him, but kind of a new place and a new face in a new place. So that's how I feel about it. Justin, what do you think? This was your tweet.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you guys. We're in lockstep here. It's definitely the Sutton in 2021 first. Next year's class is not as deep as this year's class, but it's just as top heavy. And I could name 12 players right now I'd love to have, and that's a first round pick right there. But like you said, you can also move it too. It gives you more flexibility. People are out on Sutton. Doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, I should probably preface this. I did have 4 DeAndre Hopkins shares this offseason. I now have 0. I've been on to sell DeAndre Hopkins while I can. I got Joe Mixon for him in one of the deals straight up for him. I didn't really care. And this is a perfect sell. You're getting Sutton, who people are out on for no reason. They add Jeudy, and people are just like, oh, I'm scared of Sutton now. Like, let's not forget, Sutton's a very good wide receiver. Even coming out of college, he was a pretty good prospect profile. And adding in some competition shouldn't scare you off a player if you believe in the talent. I believe in Sutton's talent. I think it helps him. Like you said, takes away some of the eyeing on him for defensive coordinators. You can't just watch Sutton now. You have to watch Hamler, who came in. You have to watch Jerry Jeudy, who's a great prospect as well. So it's wheels up for Sutton, and people are like just out on him. And Sutton's a guy I guess you buy low if you can right now. I mean, every single time. I have a trade I'm going to ask you guys about. So would you guys move Jalen Reagor and a 2021 first-round pick for Cortland Sutton and Darius Slayton?
Yes.
Yeah, easily. All right.
Yeah, I'm doing. I know Bill has his thinking face on, and
I'm a big Reagor fan. Reagor.
I'm not. So that's probably where the quick accept comes from on my side. But I also, and I'll be the first one to admit it, I did not buy the. I don't want to say hype, but I didn't buy into Darius Slayton last year, and things that smart people were telling me, ended up transferring pretty much right over into the NFL. And I think he's going to make things very difficult for Sterling Shepard and Golden Tate, who are both also very good players, but he's talented as well. Yeah. And then, obviously we just talked about, the joys of Cortland Sutton. So, I mean, Bill, what are you thinking, man? Gotta unmute yourself, brother.
Say that again. I didn't catch everything.
So Reagor and a first for Sutton and Slayton. Which side? Well, that's the trade. I mean,
yeah, I'm probably going Sutton and Slayton, but I think it is close.
Yeah,
I think
Reagor, so
I like Reagor. I mean, it's odd because I wasn't super high on him throughout. Like, I didn't separate him from a lot of the other guys kind of in that like lump of wide receivers, but when I watched his film, and I'm no wide receiver scout, but he's the only guy that like looks like, I hate using this as a description, but he reminds me in like the way he runs and moves and shakes like Odell Beckham. And he's the closest person that I've seen in a while that like kind of reminds me of him, just the way he plays. Like, I don't know if he's as good of a receiver, but just the way he kind of goes about how he plays kind of reminds me of him. So it's super intriguing, but just getting the guy that I know in Sutton is really big. And so with that being the case, I think I just go with those guys and maybe take the chance that like I do like. It's interesting because I have 0 shares of Slayton. I moved a ton of them this offseason, and it wasn't purposefully, but everybody's loving him so much that I felt like it was worth the move. I think that Sutton's a really good add if you can get him at the right price, just because he's the only guy on that team that does something different than every other wide receiver on that team. Like, every other wide receiver is kind of that possession, like almost slot-like player, and he's the only like speed outside guy on the Giants. So that interests me, but I wonder how much of it is the fact that no wide receivers, like all those wide receivers didn't play together at the same time. And so he's kind of like a roll of the dice in my opinion. So, I mean, I can see people doing the Reagor thing because it's super intriguing, but I think I just lean to the guy that I know has done it.
Yeah.
I think it's just a safer option with that.
Yeah, Slayton would be my wide receiver 5 if I get that deal done too, so it makes it even better just to have a guy like that in your flex every week. So
for sure.
Trying to do that. That's in the Dynasty Theory league, so hopefully this guy gets the trade. I'll try to get it done.
Hell yeah.
Listen, you make that trade, then you're replacing JB as the man to beat. He said you need to be replaced as a guest. I think you're going to be the one doing some replacing. You make that trade. So, one more thing. The timeline was awesome. We got so much stuff off of it. When we see things, we like to give shout outs to people who are doing other work out there. And This tweet is from the touchdown at the touchdown NFL. Matt Stafford is coming off a couple of tough seasons, but has a rich history of being a solid QB1 for fantasy football. Our boy, Jerry Shea, friend of the show, at Jerry Shea FF, takes a look at why Stafford is a potential value option in 2020. It seems like almost every Lion is underrated and disrespected. Stafford is a part of that rich Lion tradition, I guess we'll call it. But yeah, read the article. We're gonna put a link to the article in the description of the pod. We retweeted it earlier today. If you can't find that, hit us up, message us, DM us, whatever, and we'll send you the link to that article. Because I read it, and dude, Jerry, the only thing wrong with your article is that you didn't write it sooner. Because, dude, you're talented writing, man. I read that; it was awesome. Like I said, if you haven't read it yet, catch it. It's a damn good article. Bill might yell into a wall again. Go ahead, Bill.
I mean, the Irish are known for their writing. So Jerry, Jerry is Irish, and there's a ton of incredible Irish authors. So that's probably just built in. But yeah, the Stafford thing is just like every Lion is pretty much always going to be undervalued just because it's not a big market and the Lions always suck. So people don't really think about it unless you're like Megatron or Barry Sanders. Like everybody's just constantly underrated, which is awesome. Like because their offense is always solid because they have a really good quarterback and people just don't realize how good he is. But yeah, read the article by Jerry. Stafford. It's crazy. I had one share of Stafford entering the offseason, and now I have like 7. And it's fantastic just because, I mean, he's such a cheap option for a guy that's going to probably be a quarterback 1 and maybe a top 6 quarterback. So, I mean, that's more unlikely, but still the price you're getting Stafford at a 32-year-old quarterback who's still going to be able to play for you for the next 4 or 5 years. And as cheaply as you can get him, I mean, read the article and then go buy Stafford.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too far into it because I can go off on Stafford for an hour, kind of like I went off on Marvin Jones. But, I mean, what's not unrealistic is that if he plays 16 games, he's a top 10 QB.
Yep. And
where you're getting him, as you said, Bill, is you're getting him at, quarterback, 15, 16, 17, 18. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but that's another story for another day. So we got another episode of the Timeline in the books. Justin, thank you for coming on, man. Shout yourself out. Where can people find you? What are you up to and what are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. My Twitter, you guys can follow me there at Justin_FFB. This is going to be the permanent handle because I think I changed it like 4 times this week trying to get one that wasn't that difficult to say on the podcast. Our podcast is Father Son Fantasy Football. I do it with my dad. Entertaining. I like to think we know our stuff. Scott Fishbowl, we'll be talking to that more often. We did somehow place top 30 last year. And
nice.
This time we get to do our own thing, and you get to hear my dad's awful takes and him mispronouncing names and whatever he does. That Twitter is at FatherSonFF. You can find us in any app that has podcast, really. But thank you guys for having me on. I'm not doing much at all. I'm just in my mom's basement and my dad's. So that's what I'm doing. I'm over here just in my basement.
That's awesome.
Just doing whatever.
So yeah, anybody that's listening that has a pod, get Justin on it. Super smart dude, and yeah, he's bored hanging out at the parents' house.
Get him on your pod, and if for some reason you're listening to us and you're not listening to the Father-Son pod, please fix that. Please go onto iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, wherever you go to find podcasts, and subscribe right now. Listen, you're definitely not going to regret it because not only are you going to learn a whole lot, but you're going to laugh. I mean, the back and forth is funny. I mean, Your dad, like you said, he mispronounces names and he has no shame. It's all good. I love it because sometimes I fumble and stumble through words myself, and I mean I don't care either. So I have that connection with him. So
and there's a redraft and a dynasty show, so
we
that's
just did a
pretty cool
Dynasty show
too.
I should probably mention that we have the Dynasty Dungeon. I mean, take that for whatever you want to interpret a Dynasty Dungeon to be, but that's what it is, baby. I don't know, some alliteration happening there. And then about the mispronouncing names, tomorrow's episode that drops, he was trying to say Debo Samuel, but he decided to go with Bobo Samuels. I don't really know how you got that. I'm sitting here like, well, who are you talking about?
I mean, and let's not bullshit. We all have a parent that just butchers names, and I mean, he's just living proof that that's just how it works.
It is what it is.
Like you're talking about that. My mom can't say millennium.
Okay.
So right around 1999 going to 2000, she's like, yeah, the millennium is coming. And I'm like, the what is coming? She's like, the millennium. And I'm like, do you mean millennium? And she's like, that's what I said. I said, that is not what you said. That is factually incorrect. So yeah, Bill's right. We all have that parent that is going to butcher, and not even just butcher it a little bit, mix up a letter or two. I mean, they Bobo Samuels that thing. So
they're adding it to their own database.
Yeah. So Justin, man, appreciate you being on the pod. And Bill's right. If you have a pod, get him on immediately. He looks like he is in the Dynasty Dungeon right now. So get him on, help him out. And, we appreciate everybody that was in the chat. JB was in the chat. We saw people coming in and out and watching us. We appreciate it. If you're watching it on YouTube, remember to hit subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we go live. And if you're listening to us on podcast, we appreciate that too. Just remember to subscribe, rate, and review. Tell your friends if you haven't already. And, make sure you get those reviews, and they help us out so much. They, kind of allow us to see what we're doing right and see what we're doing wrong and make the podcast better for you. So on that note, Bill, we're out of here.
Late.